All right, everyone, and welcome to the East County Prep Football Preview Show. Dave, it's the last week of the regular season here. Let me mute me there in the background. It's the last one of the season, Dave. We'll be around for a few weeks of the postseason. We've got a few teams left. Otherwise, we'll just get down to those final games. Hopefully, we got lots of teams left in the playoffs. We'll find out who's in, who's out. We'll tell you who's in, who's out before the games are even played, or at least we'll try here in the next hour or so. We've only got 7 games to look at, Dave, but it's the final week of the regular season, and the championships are still on the line, Dave, but a unique schedule this week. Halloween's on Friday. We've got 4 games on Thursday with championship impact there, and 3 games on Friday to wrap up the regular season. By Sunday, we'll know who's playing who in the postseason, and I'll tell you here in a few minutes who's going to be in and who's going to be out, or at least try to figure out where these teams are going to land in the playoffs. Dave, thank you, Dave, for a great regular season again, doing the previews and the post games. We know we got a few weeks left to roll with these teams, but thank you again for a great season.
Yeah, it really has been. It's just, I think it's actually gone too quickly. And then our post games really turned out fantastic. They've all been so different. We added our bus. We even added a sponsor. As you can see, we have Granite Mortgage, Lakeside Equipment, and now Touchdown Plumbing. But we added those. It's really been quite a different format than we have had in the past. But I like it. Came up with the bus, I think, one late night when we were doing previews, and we use it when we can, sometimes even when they're just getting off the bus. But boy, what a season. Some of the not too many surprises, but there's a couple of them this season. And then, of course, you had El Cap moving over to the Hills, and you had Grossmont moving over to the Valley. And one of them, of course, really did well. The other one, they didn't do too bad, but they weren't at the top of the mountain. But that's also because you had the state champs, CIF champs, everything champs in Granite Hills for the last several years.
Yeah, and we have teams that'll be competitive. It seems like our teams, once we get to the postseason, are good, and maybe we don't get our just due talking about the East County, during the season. And then you got the division format, the setup with the different divisions, and look at all the teams, we had last year, with El Cap, with Monta Vista, with Granite. So it's going to be some great postseason play come next week, and we'll have several teams in. I'll like I said, I'll try to tell you what teams need to do or where they're going to land here. But Dave, the prep football season does conclude this week, and maybe those championships, they could actually be determined by Friday night because of the teams that lead, play on Thursday. So we'll preview those games, and then we'll join you here. We'll be here on Friday to kind of wrap things up with those late games. But we might know what's kind of going on after Thursday. But with the schedule broken up, we'll do the recap on Friday here this week. and maybe get some because it'll be Halloween, so I don't want to trouble them too much. I know everybody's gonna have a real good time on Friday. It should be fun. Remember going to the sometimes Friday would fall on game night, real fun with the kids dressing up and everything. So a couple of home games for sure on Friday night here this week.
Oh yeah, I've always uh, I think of that. I mean, look at the Oakland or LA or Las Vegas Raiders. They play Halloween every Sunday during football season. So, well, they got to do something when they're not doing much else. But
Well,
that's on.
if I was going to the game on Thursday, I'd probably dress up on that day too this week for those games. So we got some big ones, Dave, and like I said, we'll figure out what's going on if you want with the playoff picture. We have Thursday and Friday featuring marquee games with Granite Hills in the Grossmont Hills League and Grossmont in the Grossmont Valley League, each capable of clinching outright titles with a win. We know they've already technically Granite's won its fourth straight Grossmont Hills League title already, a share of it anyway, and they're trying to clinch it outright. And the same for Grossmont. Interestingly, Dave, it's Grossmont's first ever Grossmont Valley League title. We know they've won football championships in the past there, but this time around, they're in the Valley League here. It's actually been a long time for Grossmont championship, Dave. So pretty cool. The Grossmont Foothillers are champions here technically already of the Grossmont Valley League, but they could win it outright on Thursday night. So
Well, and we'll get into that. There's a couple of teams, two other teams that are one team depending on one team to defeat the Hillers this weekend, or I should say on Thursday. So lots of things where some of these teams depend on others, even if they do well in their own games. I don't think I see anybody not making the play. Possibly the Braves might just.
The Braves need. I'll tell you about it when we get there, but the Braves are going to need a massive upset to get there. Actually,
Yeah, poor Braves.
yeah. So, Dave, for Grossmont, it'll be their first league championship in 20 years. And you remember what league it was, Dave? It was the Grossmont North League.
I remember even further on before that. What was it? Was that before the Grossmont North? It was the 3A and the 2As that we were doing prior to that.
Yeah, and tell everyone kind of, pardon me, brother, how it worked back then. They won also, yeah. They were able to win the Grossmont North League in 2005. They also won it, they shared it in 2002. And then, yeah, that was kind of the equivalent back then of the Grossmont Valley League. They called it the North. Right, but even after a while, at first they meant to kind of slice it in half with the teams, like Santana and West Hills and the Helix, but eventually it kind of came down to the size again of the leagues, and then that's when we had the Grossmont 2A and the 3A. That's when the whole county, they started to switch it a little bit, right, and and then the Grossmont said, okay, we'll put our 3A teams in one league and the 2A teams in the other. Grossmont actually, let's see, I know they won. I'm looking at here, they won in 91, but that was back when that was the Grossmont 3A. They won in 1991, Dave. And then they won the 2A in 1989 under Coach Holbert.
It's funny you say that. The last team I remember, or the last game I remember, it had to be 85 or 86, and I know this exact game. We went up to, boy, they were really good then. It was Fallbrook Warriors, and boy, the fog was just crazy. You could barely see on the field. And Todd Parker was one of the big receivers for the Granite Hills Eagles, and big Tommy Vardell on that team. I'm saying it probably 85, 86 ish, but that's when it was. It was still they were in the 3A, and man, that I recall, I think that unfortunately Fallbrook was real good back then, and they kind of took it to the Eagles. But boy, that was a fun trip with Dad being on the sidelines, and it seemed like they even hit harder in high school back then.
Yeah, well, the pads were thicker, the pads were thicker, and uh, the hitting was different. They didn't always blow the whistle in time, if you know what I mean. But
You remember the big, what do they call those? Before we move on, those big neck pads.
the neck
Some of them
roll,
still, yeah, those things. Those things are huge. They look kind of funny, actually.
yeah, some guy comes out there now with one, and you're like, look at this throwback.
Uh,
We should wear them again, right? So your head doesn't bounce on the ground. But
well, as long as people are also refrain from, and I think you know that we've seen a lot more of those, and that's those horse collar tackles that we want to stay away from, but you still see them.
okay, Dave, it's going to be a good weekend. Mount McGill and West Hills will still be playing with potential championship implications should our two leading teams slip up this uh, Thursday night. This is Wednesday when we're recording this right now, and hopefully you guys viewing it can get the preview before that. But again, Thursday, we're going to fire it up here right now if you're ready, Dave. And I just broke it down into the 2 days because it kind of plays out that way, right? With the teams going for the title on
Right.
Thursday night, could be already determined. So if you're ready, let's get into it here for week number 11, Dave. Might have said week 10, but you know what we mean. Game number 10, week number 11. The playoff seedings will be released on Sunday morning, and I'll tell you about each one here as we go along. And Dave will help us get the previews together. And we'll start with our number one team in the East County, number 7 ranked Granite Hills, at number 18 Steel Canyon. Dave, it's one of your favorite matchups, of course, of the year. Every year this rivalry, actually, Dave, I know that your storyline is always going to point to the great games that these two teams have played over the last couple decades, but actually over the last few years, Dave, it's been all Granite here of late. In fact, last year it was 39-0 Granite. The year before it was 45-7 Granite, and the year before it was 34-0 Granite. Dave, could you imagine that they've beaten this team 3 straight years in one-sided games? In 2021, Dave, the first year out of the pandemic, Steel Canyon did win 21-20 at home, but that was an Eagles team that went 0-3 in the Grossmont Hills League before they made their current run of 4 straight Grossmont Hills League championships. Zach Benitez leads the county with 308 yards passing per game and 26 touchdowns. He's got great receivers, as we know, and he's got more receivers that have come up here of late to boost the troops. And they still probably, Dave, are not going to get in to the open division. The shakeup last week, Dave, there was a huge shakeup in the rankings locally. We have Mission Hills number 1. So does the Union Tribune, or I do anyway. I don't know if you do, but the Union Tribune also has Mission Hills here. Can you believe it, Dave? No Lincoln atop, no Cathedral Catholic atop, but Mission Hills.
I don't agree.
And also the UT's number 1 right now.
No.
Who do you got, Dave?
No, I wish I could say Granite, but I would say it would be after last week. It should be either Cathedral or Lincoln. I'm going to say Lincoln still owns that spot, and then I'm going to say number 2 would definitely be Cathedral Catholic, and then we'll give Mission Hills their due at number 3.
Okay, no, fair enough. I mean, if you look at the talent on the field, Lincoln still might be the best team overall. It's just that last week they lost to Cathedral Catholic, and Cathedral Catholic was out without their starting quarterback. So that really gave them a dent. And I think that's why, I mean, the rankings are kind of determined by not the UT, but the numerical rankings, if you will, are determined via formula. So they still have Cathedral Catholic number one on the Max Preps ranking, or they now do have number one on the Max Preps rankings to get that number one seed. They'll probably both likely be in the open division. It looks like Granite Hills is going to be on the outside looking in here with their number 6 ranking in the UT. I have them number 7 here currently, but man, great talent here with Granite Hills right now. Tristan Diaz leading the county in second, leading the East County in receptions, second in the county overall, 57 receptions, plus DJ Wilkins and Don Smith. And they've got other players too that have popped up here now ever since the sit-out period. Granite Hills has added even more talent, so much so that I can't even keep them straight because their rosters was a little stale last week. I didn't check, but I was having trouble identifying some of the players actually.
I think we have two Smiths, I want to say now. That's where I was getting confused. I believe that they're both receivers. And then also who came about and came on strong after, I would say, week 5 would be Davion Williams, especially running the ball.
Yeah, and I've also seen out there Parker Johnson out there as a new player and Isaiah Rodriguez as well. So Granite has added even more talent on their offense. The Steel Canyon counters with Gavin Saha at quarterback. He's thrown for 1,631 yards and 19 touchdowns this year, and they've got a good defensive line as well. Does the Cougars. Granite Hills suffered a slow start last week, Dave, against El Capitan. I think that hints that Steel Canyon could challenge them early, right? Because Steel Canyon's at home. Granite Hills had trouble shaking El Capitan last week until the second half. They were more interested in committing penalties. They were penalized twice before the game. It looks like the Eagles were more interested in making a point to El Capitan last week than going out and winning the game for some reason. But the Eagles have a great talent here and should be able to beat Steel Canyon, in my opinion. The Eagles are sure to be a top 4 seed, Dave, in the Division 1 playoffs. The Cougars can play spoiler here and give Granite Hills their first loss, and that would put the league title up for grabs, or at least give Mount Miguel a chance to share for the league title. Steel Canyon is not without a chance here. They're 7-2, 1-2 in the Grossmont Hills League. The Eagles, of course, 3-0 in the Grossmont Hills League. And if Steel Canyon would win, they're likely headed for the Division 2 playoffs right now, but their power rating could be affected enough that they could bump into Division 1 should they beat Granite Hills on Thursday night.
Well, let's not forget, though, Steel has lost back-to-back games after starting off 7-0, so they really could have had a chance if they would have even split those last 2 and only dropped 1. But now they find themselves in between a rock and a hard place because they lost 2 straight, and they are in the Hills League too. So I think this pretty much, like you said, they would probably drop them down to 2 for sure if Granite Hills wins as they should be.
Yeah, that's the way I see it too. I have Steel Canyon here likely to be in Division 2 unless they can pull off an upset here. Granite Hills, a win would give them the 4th straight Grossmont Hills League title, or outright here, and they are favored to win here. The computers have it by about 4 touchdowns. Actually, I'm going to call it closer than that. I'm going to call it maybe I'll call it 3 touchdowns, maybe 2 touchdowns. Like I said, I think what I saw from Granite Hills, that was disappointing last week as far as how long it took them. I know we have high expectations, right? But El Capitan did a very good job of, knocking them off their rocker a little bit. I think they had the Eagles on tilt there for a while. I mean, who goes out there and commits 2 penalties before the game even starts? They were kicking off from the 12-yard line. That, to me, says the Eagles were not focused on the task at hand against El Capitan, and they better be on their game here against Steel Canyon for sure, or Steel Canyon can bite them in the Cougar Den.
Well, let's just think. I bet you there was probably a lot of trash talk, social media going back and forth, even prior to the game, and who knows what was said then. But and I agree with you on this that particular game. They shouldn't have started off like that. But you have to admit that Granite Hills has been really almost attacked as far as officiating on a lot of the plays that they have made right when they're about to make just a first down. Here's the flag, and you're looking at it going, "What is it for?" They didn't do anything. They didn't move before the ball was snapped. I don't know. I just felt like they were under the gun all year as far as penalties are concerned. But just to show respect to both, hang on a second.
What are you doing, Dave? What's going on? Oh,
I just want to make sure that I give.
whoa! Rah rah rah! Cougars.
So I thought I would give both since it is a huge game and be kind of both sides this time. We all know Granite Hills alumni, but I thought I would give the Cougars their due also since I have both of them hanging on the hat rack. So anyhow, yeah, like you said, Granite Hills. I don't know. I just think that the officiating the last game, I mean, a coach was kicked out. I don't know exactly what the verbiage was, but what happened though?
It was weird because there was a touchdown. The Eagles clearly had a touchdown in the end zone, but they'd already been, kind of taken so many penalties. The frustration boiled over, I think, for the assistants and the coaching staff, and just said enough is enough. That because it was a touchdown, Dave. It was a nice sliding touchdown, I thought, in the end zone. Uh, there for Granite, and they just ruled it no touchdown. The referees are just a little slow to the play and kind of missed the call. So by that time, the Eagles' frustration had boiled over, and they, got a coach ejected there. I think right before halftime or something like that.
It was, and that's what I think happened. Is I think Coach Cobbs being the even tempered uh, coach that he is, I think he probably just talked the guys down, calmed them down, said, "We need to put our heads back on. This is a team that we can beat, and we should already be up on them by 2 or 3 touchdowns. What are you guys doing out there? Keep it together. Let's go out there and let's play like the champs that we're supposed to be playing like. I mean, we need to show that we have some class and we are the classiest of the hills." That's my personal opinion. I wasn't in the locker room, but I would think that would be something Cobbs would say. But they do have their hands full with the Cougars as they were the sleeper. I called them a sleeper all year long. I'm just a little concerned about losing 2 games in a row and going up against the Granite Hills team. They do have the home field advantage, but other than that, I just think that the Eagles have too many more weapons than the Steel Canyon Cougars. These are 2 weird teams. I'm telling you, it could come down to a field goal or a 2-point conversion. But in all reality, I'm going to say Granite Hills by 10.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dave. I think Granite Hills will win it by at least by a couple of touchdowns here. And I think it may be like last week's game against El Capitan. I think it's going to be tough early because I think, Steel Canyon has had a great season. They're really good, and they kind of match up well. Both teams have outstanding defensive lines. You think of the great offense from Granite Hills, and Steel Canyon's had a great passing attack this season. So I like Granite.
Don't forget that they're big buddies too. Coach Scott Longerbone and Kellen Cobbs. No matter how the game turns out, they are real good friends, and so that makes it an even better game. So I think it'll probably be pretty clean, and a lot of friends that each of them have on the other side too. So should be the game to watch. Make sure you get on YouTube.
Yep, you'll be able to see that one on the Granite Hills football channel there on YouTube. And like I said, for the Cougars, still a great season, win or lose here. They're 7-2 coming in. They actually have a better record than Granite Hills overall. And if they do finish in Division Two, I said these East County teams have a big chance to win championships again in the respective divisions. They'll be a very high seed in Division Two, actually, probably close to a number. A top four seed, Dave, possibly here, given their number 18 ranking that we have there. That would likely put them there into Division Two. Like I said, if they won, number of seeds 5 through 16 make up Division One, and Steel Canyon is a little bit out of that. But if they were to win, that would immediately vault them into Division One because you'll get a lot of points knocking off Granite Hills is in an upset. So if they
But
win, it would be tougher for them to win a championship in Division One, quite frankly. But it is also quite an honor to be there and maybe compete against tougher teams. Depends how you want to look at it.
but I think Granite Hills takes care of business. They'll be number one in Division One for sure.
Okay, yeah, I think they'll be up there in Division One, a top four seed for sure. I don't know if they'll get the number 5, but they are very, very close to that. Some of the other teams that you'll see up there in Division One, it's going to be pretty close, actually, Dave. But because of their great season this year, once again, they'll be pretty close. There in Division One. Maybe I can cover those teams a little bit as we go down and get to the
Well,
other. Go ahead.
well, and they lost even their losses, like we've talked about all year. They played top 20 county talent all year, so that has to be good for the point system. All the teams that they've played.
Yeah, and the thing is that the games, the results last week shook up things so much that we've been kind of calling for the top four like we know it because of the expectation with Cathedral, Lincoln, Carlsbad, and Mission Hills are currently the top four in the rankings, and then La Costa Canyon is number 5 in the rankings. I have La Costa Canyon number 2 actually, but the official rankings have La Costa Canyon number 5 and Granite Hills number 6. So those two teams are likely headed for the final spot. Mission Hills does play at San Marcos. Now Mission Hills has been awesome, so they'll probably win again. But San Marcos is a top 10 type of team, and they are at home. So I guess there's a chance in there somewhere that Granite
Spoiler
Hills.
alert.
Yeah, we'll see. Granite Hills probably number 1 or number 2 seed in Division One here. Moving forward, if even with a win, it would take another weird upset there. But right now, the top 4 in the county on the ratings: Cathedral number 1, Lincoln number 2, Carlsbad 3, Mission Hills 4, La Costa Canyon 5, and Granite Hills 6. So Granite will win. Granite should win here. Got him by Dave and I have him by a couple of touchdowns over Steel Canyon. And that's on Thursday night. Don't forget, at Steel Canyon. Okay, so we're going to cover the games still here from Thursday. Now we're going to cover them in chronological order to make it clear because 4 and 3 is the breakdown. So the same thing is true here, Dave, now in the Grossmont Valley League. The Grossmont Foothillers can wrap up the title outright. They've already won their first championship in 20 years by clinching a share of the Grossmont Valley League title. And they're taking on a Monte Vista team here that we know, Dave, that this Monte Vista team is the type of team that's capable of pulling off upsets here and there. It does feel like this year it's been a little bit tougher for them here. But good news, Dave, is that Monte Vista is likely in the postseason here, win or lose, unlike last year where they had to be invited in after a team backed out. They still won the championship, remember, after that, crazily enough, right? Coming from that number 12 seed last year, but they're probably in this year no matter what. They've had a decent season for sure. 5 and 4, 2 and 2 in the Grossmont Valley League. Grossmont's still going to be a big favorite here to wrap up the league championship at home behind Tyler Holmes. Great season here, 20 touchdowns and just 3 interceptions, Dave, and great running game, right? We didn't know. We just automatically assume that they're going to be a great passing team, and that while they are a good passing team, they've really been a running team so far this season. This game might get over quickly with the way Monte Vista runs the ball as well.
Well, All I gotta say is, and I've dubbed them towards the end of the season, but I'm gonna call them the from here on out until they get beaten on the defensive side of the ball. Uh, Robinson and Burke show the Terror Twins. They have been wreaking havoc all year long, and even Burke was talking about it at the beginning of the season that he wanted to have a couple of scooping scores. Didn't matter how he did, but he wanted to score those defensive touchdowns. He always thought that those were meant a little more than the offensive touchdowns. And what did he do? He's doing exactly that 2 weeks in a row.
Oh my God! He had another 25-yard touchdown interception return last week to keep it going. Burke has been awesome. Robinson, I don't know who would be the best defensive player in the Valley League between those two guys. Obviously, Robinson has all the 10 sacks this season. Now, Grossmont is favored here, Dave, to win by probably about four touchdowns or even more, say the computers. I'm going to give Monte Vista a chance to keep it more competitive than that. I think Grossmont probably can win, though, by at least 3 touchdowns and wrap up this league championship here on Thursday night. Like I said, if you had to take one of these Valley League teams to maybe throw in an upset here, it does feel like Monte Vista, with all due respect to Santana and West Hills, Monte Vista's got a good chance here to keep it close early, but Grossmont, Dave, is likely headed to the Division II playoffs right now, given the rankings here in the county. We have them ranked number 19. The computers have them number 27. We got to throw in some East County bias in there, but number 27 is likely to put you and figure they'll win. That is just inside the playoff bubble for Division II. So they'll actually be a low seed. They'll have their work cut out for them in Division II, facing some of the tougher teams in the playoffs down the line, should they even win that first game. They might be on the road and as underdogs right away in Division II. Remember, they had a great season last year and went to that championship game as well against the Vaqueros. So Grossmont should win this game, and they will make it to the playoffs, and they'll have a tough draw because of their ranking in Division II. Monte Vista, I think they're in. I think they're in Division 5 no matter what here.
Oh.
And a chance here to maybe do it again. They're that good. They're that good. It feels like just let them in, and they'll be able to do some damage.
Well, they made it in at 5-5 last year, and look how far they went. They took the ball and they went and they ran with it, and they beat a lot of quality teams. Had a little chat with Coach Lawrence about who's going to win the Valley, and is it going to be that simple? And then talking about the Halloween games. Why no Halloween games? And he said, I think there should be no Halloween games, just so kids can enjoy their night of Halloween. And I said, well, you don't have to face somebody like that big runner and the stud from last year, Villanueva. And he said, yes, Villanueva was a stud last year. I really like how he ran the ball. I think this year they are as tough a team as well. The Valley is full of tough teams, and I think they are another tough one. I think we need to throw the ball and beat man matchups to win this game, and defensively continue to put the pressure on the quarterback and make big splash plays. And I tell you, they have a lot of receivers over there on that side, the Grossmont side of things, and they have a great running game, and we talked about their defense. But I think if it comes down to the trenches, I think Monte Vista, they can run it all day long, and I think you'll hear names like Florence, you'll hear names, Dion will be coming up, Zach Taylor, if he gets hot, if he is not throwing the ball, he can run the ball really well. He can even tackle. I think something different that we've gotten used to this season and hadn't been done in 2 decades is the ball has gone to the air a lot more often for the Monarchs. And just to add it to the mix because it is definitely a perfect time, and I just got the text right after this, and I asked Coach Ash what he thinks about his game, and then if he's going to be watching the scores for the evening, and he just said we're hoping to play much better than we did last week. I thought they played great versus Santana, and you know what the last two words were? Go Monarchs.
Yeah, it needs the Monarchs. West Hills will need the Monarchs to win. You mentioned Derek Taylor. Done a great job there for Monte Vista. They're a little bit more well-rounded this season. Yeah, they've some games they've stalled there, and that cost them a chance to make this a championship game for them. But nonetheless, and you also mentioned their Deion Hunter, a good running back for them as well. So they'll have to keep the ball away. They need to do typical Monte Vista drives, right, Dave? They need to take 7 or 8 minutes off the clock each time and make sure they cash in with a touchdown against the Foothillers, quite frankly, to make it the best chance possible at an upset. But I think the Monte Vista will get in the playoffs here, and Grossmont will too. Like I said, this will be a tough road a little bit for Grossmont there because they'll be kind of at the bottom of Division Two. They're probably going to be up against teams, Dave, in Division Two, like possibly Steel Canyon, La Jolla, Helix, Holtville, even Santa Fe Christian, Mission Bay. Those two teams are undefeated, SFC and Mission Bay. So it'll be a tough road in the playoffs, but just win this first and get that championship. They've already got it, a share of it, and they can wrap it up outright here with the win over Monte Vista. I'll take them by I'll take them by about 3 touchdowns, Dave, and computers
Nope.
a little more. Yep.
I'm going to actually take an upset, and I'm going to take because they've done it so many times in the Valley League, and I think they're going to have a little Hamamoto mojo, if you will, floating around there the day before Halloween. And I'm going to say that Monte Vista wins this one by 3.
Wow, man! Talk about playing spoiler, Dave, and raining on Grossmont's victory parade here. Grossmont won last year, 54-33 here at home. That last year was at Grossmont also. There's
Yes.
that one, interestingly enough, and Grossmont won in 2023, 46-34. So they definitely have given up some points to the Monarchs in those two previous games. Okay, and one more in the Valley League here, just to wrap it up on Thursday. Valhalla will be on the road taking on Santana. Dave, Santana's a probable Division 4 playoff team, and they'll look to finish 3-2 in league play here when they host Valhalla. Valhalla upset Santana last year, Dave, 31-14. So be ready, Santana. Valhalla's coming in here just 2-7 and 1-3 in the Grossmont Valley League. Santana 5-4, 2-2 in the Valley League. Ethan Miller leads the Grossmont Valley League with 1,025 yards passing, and Jordan Gillisey leads the Grossmont Valley League with 8.5 sacks. Valhalla might be known for their defense, but they've also got a good quarterback in Jackson Newman there. And they are looking to play a little bit of spoiler here, Dave, right now. Valhalla would need to probably win this game, Dave. I think they're going to be on the outside looking into the postseason. I don't think they're going to make it, actually. I think they would need to win this game in order to qualify for the postseason.
Yeah, I don't think the Norsemen quite have the superstars to match up with superstars over on the Santana side of things. Especially you just read some of the stats, the big stats, and with Ethan Miller, I definitely it troubles me a little bit. You got one of the top passers in your league, and yet you're not quite at the top, and you got quite a few receivers. Now, let's not forget, he did suffer a concussion in one of those games. I think there's going to have to be a little more balance of a good run game and passing. I mean, we can't just rely on the passing game, even though we do have one of the better quarterbacks in the league. And I I don't think that Coach Estes, if we've known him forever now, it seems like, I don't think he's going to take Valhalla too lightly, and I'm sure that they are running some newer schemes just for Valhalla this week.
Yeah, just to be clear, so we're not raining on Valhalla's playoff chances here, but they are number 69 in the current rankings on the computer, and you need to be in the top 64 really to be in there. So, with them expected to not win this game, that will not help them. But if they were to win, they could jump the 5 spots necessary because Santana is rated quite a bit above them to get into the playoffs. So there's a chance, but you got to win Valhalla. This is a playoff game for Valhalla. That's all there is to it. If they want to keep playing, they need to upset Santana. And like I said, last year, 31-14, Norsemen won. Norsemen were at home in that game, but you got to give them a chance, I think.
Santana plays really well at home, and I think that have been thinking of a lot of the players from last year have been thinking about that game since last year, and they're ready to avenge in front of their fans on their field. So I'm looking for Santana to win this one by 17.
Me too, Dave. I'm going to take Santana by touchdowns here for sure. One computer has them by 1 touchdown. The other computer has them by 3 touchdowns. So I'll split the difference there. I'll go Sultans here by 2 touchdowns, but would be neat for the Norsemen to get that playoff clinching win. Santana would still be in the playoffs should they lose, but I'll take Santana here. All right. And there is one other game on Thursday night. The Christian Patriots will take on the San Diego Cavers. Dave, Christians had some struggles here this season in the midst of that tough Eastern League schedule, but they face a San Diego team here that's going to be their best opportunity, it looks like, to win a league game. Now, it is on the road, Dave, and the Cavers are 1-3. They do have a league win. Christian is 0-4, 2-7 overall. But with this team, you always got to give them a chance because of their ability to move the ball. Caleb Runkle, 1,685 yards. Kai Rozier, one of the most spectacular receivers in the county, 800 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns. So San Diego will be favored in this game, Dave. Most of the computers have it right on about a 2-touchdown spread here. A victory, though, wouldn't just improve Christian's league record by giving them a first league win of the season. It could also enhance their Division II playoff prospects, although that would be a tougher draw. They're actually likely to be a very high seed in the Division III field, and guess what? They'll be extremely competitive in Division III, Dave, a chance to win a section title. Should they lose this game, I'll just put it like that. But still going to be pretty tough here. I like Christian to hang in here against this San Diego team, but maybe the Cavers will still win here. They are ranked ahead of Christian right now, and they are at home. But like I said, Dave, Christian's in, and if they lose, they'll have a little easier time of it. That's what I could say as far as in consolation, I guess, if I could say it that way, Dave.
I just think that it looks like this year, San Diego, we talked about them weeks ago, and we were saying, boy, San Diego's going to be a hard one to beat for Christian. And since then, it looks like they've sputtered a bit.
Yeah, they struggled in the league too. Yeah, in the Eastern League, I think a little bit too much for them.
And I think compared to the team that they were last year, I'm going to say that Christian has they got the high ground. I'll just say that. And Christian, with, like you said, Caleb Runkle and Rozier, they've been pretty much the pair for the year. I mean, they're like the Manning. They're when he was with the Colts. I think it's the Manning to throw any of his receivers in there. Marvin Harrison Sr. I just think that, and let's look at maybe the younger of the Moronis. Maybe he'll get going on the ground too. That would be, I'm sure, his assistant coach and brother would love for that to happen as well in this game. But even though San Diego's at home, I still think Christian has too many weapons offensively, and I think that the defense can hold San Diego to 14 points. So I am looking at a 17-14 Christian win.
Okay, like I said, that could propel them into Division Three should they win. Right now, Christian is number 35 in the rankings. You have to get to number 28 to get to Division Two. So even with a win, they could still be in Division Three, and they'll be up against teams in Division Three like Central, Ramona, 8-1 Olympians, 7-1 Army Navy, Madison, University City are teams ahead of them heading into the playoffs. Here, the Christians in, and so is San Diego, and the Cavers actually look like they're in Division Two right now. They would fall to Division Three should Christian beat them here. So interesting game for sure. And Christian will be on the road here at Old Balboa Stadium, Broderick Field, for that one.
Where the Chargers used to play.
Right, that's what you look at that way, Christian. Dave, Christian actually beat San Diego last season. They were both in the Eastern League last year. It's just that these other teams that have come into the Eastern League have proven to be just pretty tough. They've actually kind of dropped down, and some of the other teams went up. But last year, it was Christian did beat San Diego in last year's game, Dave, 20-14 at San Diego, so they could repeat that game there. That would be a great to get a league. You want to get a league win if you can.
Well, I think they got a better squad this year, and I think the San Diego team has a lesser of a squad than they did last year. So, Christian favorite.
Okay, I'm surprised you say that because Christian did win the Eastern League Championship last year with a 4-0 record and a 9-3 overall record. Following that second round playoff exit, and this year they're just 2-7. But I know the teams have been a little bit tougher in the Eastern League, so maybe that's part of it. Okay, we'll skip ahead and go to Friday's action right now, and these games could have more meaning should Granite Hills lose. Mount Miguel could get a share of the Grossmont Hills League title. How about that? Mount Miguel's been one of the most efficient offenses this season with Jeremiah Loper, 19 touchdowns and just 3 interceptions, over 1,800 yards passing. A.J. Logan's been on fire with, I believe, 10 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks of play, 647 yards overall. Dave El Capitan showed last week they can compete with the teams in the Hills League. They just might not have enough to finish. That's what we saw, right? They were in that game against Granite Hills and then kind of faded a little bit down the stretch. They're looking for their first Grossmont Hills League win of the season. Meanwhile, Mount Miguel, you see they're 2-1. They could finish 3-1, and if Granite Hills were to lose, that means a co-championship. This could be a pretty competitive game here, actually, into the second half. Both teams are going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, let's not underestimate El Capitan. I mean, Granite Hills definitely shouldn't have in the first half of that game. I was biting my nails a little bit in that first half. I gotta say, the part of the team though that stands out to me is still that Sean McDade, defensive coordinator. Defense has been spectacular all year long. They have scored. They've made some big hits. They've made some great sacks. They've had quarterbacks running for their lives. Even had Zach running for his life for the first half anyway. And they like to punch the ball out too. So I believe, if I remember correctly, they got Granite to fumble the ball as well and recovered by El Capitan. Talked to Coach McDade a little bit. He said, we have to try and contain their speed. We had it 7-6 midway through the third quarter with Granite, but a return kickoff and then a punt return, both for touchdowns, blew the game. So really, he's got a good point. Without those run backs, if they would have made some stops there, could have been an uphill battle even in the second half for Granite Hills. So I would say that's more of a special teams thing, failure there. Um, Same thing with Steel. We were up 14-7 in the third quarter. All we had, all that to say, we know we can compete at a high level, which is good for our confidence. We have to try and shorten the game by moving the chains and limiting the opportunities with their speed. We have to improve our special teams as well. Regardless, these games will have us battle tested for the playoffs,
Oh,
says Coach McDade.
yeah, for sure. The Vaqueros have been respectable in league play despite that 0-3 record and figure to be a strong championship contender this season in the Division 4 playoffs, Dave. Look, listen to this. The Vaqueros won the Division 3 pool last season, but because even though they've moved to a tougher league, more losses have kind of pushed them back. And they'll be in Division 4, where they'll be an instant championship contender once again here in the postseason. No matter how you look at it, they're going to be probably a top 4 seed in Division 4 with the likes of teams like Westview, Mount Carmel, and East Lake. So they'll be in line to compete for another section championship. For Mount Miguel, meanwhile, they are likely to be a top 4 seed in Division 1. Like who, Dave? The Granite Hills Eagles. These guys, Granite Hills and Mount Miguel, could be on a collision course, Dave, to meet in the Division 1 uh, uh, semifinals or finals, possibly. Mount Miguel and Granite Hills, barring upset, because they're going to be likely 2 of the top 4 teams in the Division 1 playoffs, barring some crazy things happening. But hey, there's been some things happening. But wouldn't that be exciting to see those 2 teams meet in the playoffs down the line? So I think Mount Miguel, the computer Dave doesn't have even El Capitan scoring but a touchdown here and has Mount Miguel by 5 or 6 touchdowns. But I think it's going to be closer because of what I saw last week with the way El Capitan battles Granite Hills into the second half. No doubt about it. Remember, it was 0-0 for the longest time and took a while for Granite to get on track. And now El Cap is at home in this game. So I think they definitely can hang here within a couple of touchdowns. I think Mount Miguel eventually gets the win here. But I'm going to have to say that for me, Mount Miguel wins it maybe by 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Well, I think the computers are definitely short circuiting themselves because they're not going to keep them out of the end zone. Exactly. And let's go back to what McDade said against Steel Canyon. They were up 14-7 in the third quarter too. So I think what they're going to try and do, I'd be surprised if they didn't have a heavy dose of Castillo carrying the rock, and maybe some of the other backs, and let's control the clock and let's make sure that we don't get the ball to. I mean, that's going to be the obvious attempt is going to be to keep the ball away from the Matadors because we don't want them getting the ball and scoring on a run back, kickoff return, punt return, and maybe even 2 long passes. And they score easy, they score quickly. So hold on to the ball, make some big plays. I wouldn't be surprised if he's got them loaded up for some stack in the box too, so they can't run the ball at all.
Yeah,
But I'm going to.
Yeah,
But I'm going to say El Capitan is. They're not going to be shut out. Sorry to say. I think that I'm going to take the upset, and I'm going to say that El Capitan's going to win this by a point.
Okay. All right. Yeah. It could be a letdown for Mount Miguel if they're not playing for a league title here for sure. But like I said, they're going to be in the playoffs and could meet the Eagles again. And Grant El Cap, like I said, probably headed, if they do win this game, Dave, they're going to have a much tougher road in the postseason because that will likely elevate them to Division 3 there, which, like I said, they won last season, but Division 3 this year might be a little bit tougher, maybe for El Capitan in there. We talked already about some of those Division 3 teams. Like I said, teams like Central, Ramona, Olympian, Madison, and University City. So if they lose, they'll be kind of semi-rewarded with a good playoff field where they could win another ring.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, they could get 2 rings.
And I was going to say Mount Miguel. Maybe maybe they don't give it 150% because they're in the playoffs regardless. And you don't want to get your good players. If of course you don't want to get them injured and going into the playoffs. So I wouldn't be surprised if second half you start throwing a couple of second teamers in there and get them some playing time and get a share of the ring if they were to get one. But let's not count on El Capitan not scoring. That's blasphemy.
Yeah, and for sure, the one thing that will maybe motivate Mount Miguel at least to tell them, you're going to want to win. You're not going to tell them maybe too much about what they need to do for the playoffs. Just want to win the game, but it could cost them a top 4 seed, which is a bye. Top 4 seeds get a bye. So a win would get them probably the bye. If they lose, they would have to play probably a first round game.
Should be a good one, and I think it's going to be closer than the computers are saying anyway. So be on the lookout, folks, and either head out to Lakeside or NFHS. Turn it on, watch them.
All right, and one more, Dave. On Friday night in the Grossmont Conference, go to the Valley League where West Hills could be Dave. The way Dave had it here, maybe it will be West Hills playing for a chance at the league title here to share with Grossmont. He said Monte Vista is going to go in there and give Grossmont a battle. That would put West Hills on the line for a share at the league title. They're 3-1. Grossmont's 4-0. You're playing the Braves here. No disrespect to the Braves here, but they've kind of run into a little bit of a Grossmont Valley League situation. In fact, unfortunately, the Braves are probably not going to make the playoffs without a massive upset here into Division 5. So they'll probably end up short without pulling off a big upset, Dave, where West Hills is upwards of a 4 or 5 touchdown favorite in this game. Doesn't feel like, as great as that game was last week, Dave, we had the Wolfpack join us. Great job with Ray Garcia, Jacob Romeo, and of course, the big hero to won the Santee City Cup on Christian Slowhowski's 25-yard field goal. So West Hills title fate depends on Grossmont's result, but the Wolfpack have that momentum from last week. And it would be nice for the Braves if they could get a win here. They haven't beat West Hills since that historic 2005 season. They tied them also in 2007. They didn't play every year because West Hills spent some time in the Hills League, but the Braves haven't beat them basically in the last 20 years. So that was great, though, Dave, to have the Wolfpack last week. We had a lot of fun with the guys. Christian became our most talked to player this season with his game-winning field goal there, the walk-off field goal. And could be an emotional letdown, though, after coming off the city championship. I'll give the Braves that much, right? Because they do have John Bier Kashindi, who leads the Grossmont Valley League in rushing, and El Cajon Valley's Paul Marcelin actually leads the entire Grossmont Conference with 77 tackles for the Braves. So they have some talented players. Just as usual, they're a little bit short on the number of players that they kind of have to get in there and compete all the way. But they are at home in this game against West Hills.
Yeah, but I could also think West Hills knows what they have at stake, and they have a chance. And to, as I said earlier, Coach Astor's go Monarchs. But at the same time, I think they played it. I think he shortchanged on saying that he didn't play as well against Santana as he had intended to.
Yes.
But I think that West Hills had played a great game, and I think that you and I both had West Hills. I would say after the third, fourth game of the season, we started saying, "Hey, these guys might just make it up to the top, and they even have a shot at the Valley." Everybody did at first, but we had contemplated West Hills. We had contemplated Santana. We had contemplated the Monarchs and Grossmont. I'm sorry, Braves. But mostly, I think in the back of our mind, except for the beginning of the season, Coach Warren said, "I don't think we're going to be as good as we've been." I think that was just a joke or something because look how they played all season long, and the Monarchs. Is it even a surprise anymore that they somehow pull it out every single year, year in year out? I think West Hills would be I think they would be the biggest surprise, even if it is a tie, to be able to come off of those 6 games that they did lose. Boy, they got beat up in a few of those, but they played some pretty solid teams too.
Yep. Yeah, it was a little bit disappointing they couldn't find a win because I think they were, matched up competitively in some of those games. So I would say it was a disappointment to start the season the way West Hills did, and the Braves, I'm sure as well. Like I said, I thought the Braves, Dave. Frankly, if El Cajon Valley, look, they went 2-3 in their non-league games there, right? If you look at the math, and if they would have won probably just one more of those games, they might actually have been in the playoffs. It was a non-league season that the Braves need, but when they start off with those losses in games that, looking back on them now, and as well the Braves have played in those 2 wins, they probably, if they needed to capitalize on the non-league portion of the schedule. That's what's keeping them out of the playoffs here now. Like I said, they will need an upset, a massive upset here to get to the playoffs. Meanwhile, West Hills, Dave, they are in the postseason here, likely in Division 5. Even a win might have trouble bumping them up because of the Braves' power rating. West Hills right now, though, would be, get this, Dave, one of the top 4 seeds in Division 5, and definitely can compete for a section title against the likes of Sweetwater, Coastal Academy, who's 8-1, Canyon Hills, Calexico. These are the top teams in Division 5, and West Hills is likely to be one of them. Even if they win, there is a chance that if some of those teams above West Hills are upset in their games, that West Hills could move up to Division 4, which would make it much tougher in the playoffs, but they would qualify for the next division up, which is always a sense of pride as well. So West Hills is in, just figure out where they're in, and the Braves are going to need a big upset here, but I think West Hills, I've got them here, Dave, by, I'm going to say 2 to 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Wolfpack Pride over the Braves, and I'm gonna say definitely by 3 touchdowns. And if El Cajon Valley scores 7 points against that defense, I think they're doing well. I just think that West Hill is going to play that run pretty successfully since they know that they're going to mostly be going up against the run. I'm sure they're going to stack the box pretty often, and they got some pretty good pass rushers. And like you said, what a great group of kids we had on from West Hills last week for the post game, and they even had their own lighting crew with a sister, I guess, and a couple of friends back there lighting it up for them, just like we had the week before on the bus. Boy, those phones can light it up. But hopefully, hey, El Cajon Valley can light it up somehow and figure out a way to upset West Hills. It might just propel them in there, but I think they're eliminated, period. Even it would just be for pride. But West Hills definitely, I think they can beat all those teams that you mentioned, too. We have done great against the desert teams in past, and we've played them pretty often as far as the Grossmont Conference is concerned.
Yeah, for sure. So, look, I'm not rooting for our teams to lose, but I do like the fact, Dave, that, you know what? Some of these teams might lose and they'll keep a strong top seed in those lower divisions and give them a chance to win the bracket there. So,
Well, that's what I'm leaning at with West Hills. That's why I was thinking Calexico and the couple that you were mentioning, Westview. I know that the Pack are definitely capable of beating those teams.
yeah. Yeah, and the one thing I can't quite figure out with the math, because I like I said, I'm thinking West Hill, but there is one team above them, Maranatha Christian. We're going to get to the Sunset here in now. Who will be placed back in, even though they're in the group of 64 teams, they won't be in the big playoffs. Once you commit to Division 5 AA, you're in 5 AA. You can't get promoted out of there. We know. So Maranatha can actually, for that season, right? So Maranatha Christian, even though they're in that, West Hills, I guess technically is 54th. So I guess there's a chance that the win could still bump them up. It's just that Braves ranking is much lower, and so one of those teams, like a Coastal Academy, like a Sweetwater, some of those teams would have to get upset, I think, for them to jump up. It's going to be close, actually. Okay, so here it is, the Sunset League game here. What an interesting matchup, Dave. Look, Mountain Empire is going to take on Foothills Christian at Sayal Field. And Foothills Christian, great job last week. They're coming off their first 11-man football win since 2021, but Mountain Empire has been one of the most improved teams in the entire county this season after winning just one game last season. Dave, they went from 4 wins to 3 wins to 2 wins to 1 win. They bring in Cameron Keller, and they're 7-2, 4-1 here. They're going to be a pretty significant favorite to come in and beat Foothills Christian, but Foothills Christian coming off that first win of the season. So Mountain Empire should secure a second place finish likely in the Sunset League behind Maranatha Christian should they win this game. It is senior night for Foothills Christian at Sayal Field. These two teams last met in 2012 when Mountain Empire won at Sayal Field 66-44 as the Redhawks won the only meetings ever between the teams between 2010 and 2012. So I think Mountain Empire could probably win this one by 2 or 3 touchdowns here on the road against Foothills Christian, but it was good that Foothills Christian got that win over Tri-City Christian last week.
I'm sorry, Foothills, but I'm going to take the Red Hawks by 5 touchdowns. I just think they're that much better, and they've just got so much more in the arsenal on both sides of the ball. And I think Coach Keller is going to love playing at Sayal Field. And hey, if you haven't seen Mount Empire play this year and you're in the East County, you should stop in. It's real close in La Mesa and easy to get to. And it's a great field to play on and plenty of places to sit. So go out and cheer on the Red Hawks, even if you're not a big Pine Valley fan. I think these Red Hawks are going to do something big. Not to mention, I'm sure they're going to have, and you're going to tell me that they're going to have a pretty high rating, but not like the ratings that we do with all the other teams.
Yeah, no, they're in the 5 AA division, so they're in there with the likes of, like I said, Maranatha Christian, right? Looking for a rematch, basically against Maranatha Christian, is what it's going to come down to in the Division 5 AA standings. There, Dave. Maranatha Christian is going to be number 1 in 5 AA. You also have Palo Verde Valley, who will be number 2, and Mountain Empire will be number 3 in there in the postseason.
So anything in particular that they how they crown their champion, or
no? They just have a playoff bracket. They just do a tournament. They just do a playoff bracket in that division as well, and they crown the Division 5 champion. But Mountain Empire, like I said, barring an upset there with Maranatha Christian, their season finale, they actually play Rock Academy. That's the team that Mountain Empire beat last week to secure their 4th win. So Rock Academy is not bad. They're 4-5 this season, but probably will lose to Maranatha Christian, and Mountain Empire will settle for a second place finish in the Sunset League. And they'll be competitive here and looking for a rematch maybe down the line against Maranatha Christian in the finals or semifinals of the Division 5 AA playoffs. So that's it. Dave, that's our 7 games here heading into the final 2 nights of the season. I think they said, some of the games are moved off of Friday because of Thanksgiving. Also, without
Halloween.
Yeah, thank you, Halloween. And we know you want to get to play. You want to stretch your season out to Thanksgiving. That's the goal of teams, right? And high school football. But because of the Halloween schedule, that some of the games were moved to Thursday. Also, because so few teams have buys, although Helix does, they finished their schedule last week at 4-6. But and by the way, Helix will be in the playoffs as well, likely in Division Two.
That was my
But
next question.
yeah, Helix is in probably in Division Two, but nonetheless, that because of the amount of games this week, that's why there's also some Thursday games because the referee situation. It was a little bit more manageable this year because of the fact that there were more officials and the buys. You know, when they in the middle of the season, more teams have buys. This week on the last week, fewer teams have buys. Only the teams that kind of ran out of games, so they had to move some to Thursday for that reason as well. So 2 nights of prep football, but you and I will be here wrap it all up on Friday night. Maybe we could round up some of those champions from Thursday night. Should Grossman or maybe the Eagles, right? We've really gotten with the Eagles since the beginning of the season, and they're going to win the
Yes.
championship. They should. They're favored. Give Steel Canyon a chance. That's a great series, Dave. You've seen that game so many times over the years. So we'll try to find some kids to talk to maybe on Halloween. Maybe they'll be all dressed up.
Boy, those I'll be talking about that till the day I finally kick it. I tell you, those are some awesome games. Like I said, a missed PAT, 2-point conversion with a second on the clock.
Remember Will Burton? Remember Will Burton and that end zone play?
Yeah.
All right,
boy.
Dave. Yep.
Boy, a kid that went a little too soon, and boy, did he have he was one of those superstars. I think I think he would have gone pro for sure. I mean, just one of the spectacular, one of those athletes that come out of the East County, kind of a Tommy Vardell type.
Oh yeah, and I saw this yesterday, Dave. But Steven Strasburg is coming back to San Diego, and he's going to be joining San Diego State as a special consultant and help their baseball program, help coach the pitchers a little bit, help in marketing. And so welcome back, one of East County greats, Steven Strasburg, back to San Diego, joining the staff.
It's a great thing that he's able to do that. It's a shame that he couldn't stay up at the big leagues for a longer period of time.
He's a borderline Hall of Famer, actually.
The way he threw that ball, some of those, some spin he got on those, and great pitcher to watch. It was fun to watch him with the Nationals. Boy, he was just something else. But I can't believe it. We finished the regular season after this Friday, and we're already heading into playoffs in just a snap. And with that being said, we want to thank him once again, Granite Mortgage, Lakeside Equipment, and Touchdown Plumbing. And we also want to thank our great photographer, Vic Morano. And you can always go over to his page. He has an Instagram, and you can see all the great photos, a lot of them that we can't even get to put up quick enough. He's taken so many photos for us. Also, if you want to look for some great pictures of the flag football too for all the teams in the Grossmont Conference. He has taken a lot of those also, and they have been of the younger sophomores and freshmen. I just wanted to clarify though, because he wanted me to clarify, all the pictures that we post up on East County Sports are of varsity players and not freshmen or sophomores, whether it be the flag football, volleyball, water polo, what have you, just so nobody gets confused. But what a great addition to the team, and he's asking about if he can do 2 games, and I didn't want him to have to drive from over to Grossmont from the Steel Canyon game. I said that's just too much, but he's going to do an El Cap game, and he's going to do a Granite Hills game. So I just wanted to give him a shout out. Thanks again, Vic. You have been a lifesaver. Um, and you know what? I want to even thank Vanilla Gorilla for all your everything that you've contributed to us over the years. Um, you're doing. I've seen a lot of the great stuff you've been doing for Grossmont College, but I was just so happy that you were able to help us throughout the years too. Some great photos that he provided us for many years as well. With that being said, I could go on and thank people for hours, and we don't have that kind of time. So for Ramon Scott, I'm Dave Dickens. Let's go play some football tomorrow.